Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu. Jefferson Pub and Grill. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk softball now with head coach Greg Jones. This will be our last show of the season as both the softball and baseball teams have finished for the year. So I guess my first question to you, now that I kind of think about the finality of this season, is you're kind of a week removed from finding out that you weren't going to make the national tournament. So how does this season sit for you as you look back at it now a week removed?
Well, there's been a lot of thoughts, and we've had a lot of time to reflect on it, and we do that every year anyway, good, bad, or indifferent. But really, when I look back at it, what I try to do is we talked earlier this year about I don't use numbers a lot during the season and look at them a lot after the season,
right,
and then try to use the numbers to analyze. And I thought the numbers really told some significant stories this year. We talk about the idea of getting to 4 runs a lot. We were 30-3 this year when we scored 4 or more runs. We were 5-14 when we didn't, and so I thought that was telling. I thought our biggest failure this year was our inability really to hit in the clutch. We gave ourselves a lot of opportunities and didn't capitalize. But I thought our biggest success this year was our pitching. I think it's the only time since I've been here, we finished with a team ERA under 2. And so we threw the ball exceptionally well. Alex and McKenna really stepped into their roles. And I thought going in, that was our biggest question mark, and it ended up being our biggest exclamation point. And so again, there are a lot of teams in the country that would be pretty happy with 20 games over 500 and 35 wins being a down year. So I don't view it as a down year. I view it as we just never got on that real hot streak. We just weren't the most consistent as we have been, and we'll fix that and work on that. We've things that we think we need to do that we have been able to see now.
You talked to a couple of things there. I want to kind of address what you said. One of the things you said was that clutch hitting was a problem for you. How do you fix that? How do you simulate that? That seems like a very difficult thing to try to simulate in practice.
It does. I think it's a mental toughness thing. I think that we can work on our mental game a little bit. I think there's some things we can do physically in practice to put more pressure on them in practice, make them more confident and more comfortable and more relaxed in different situations offensively that way. But part of it's on them too, to work on their games that way, just physically making their skill sets better. So now they are more comfortable and relaxed and confident. And sometimes it's as easy as let's not always be in a 1-run game. Let's take a 1-run game and make it a 4-run game by just doing things throughout the game. And so it doesn't come down to got to get a 2-out hit with runners on second and third in a 1-0 game.
Okay, let's talk about the pitching then a little bit, because you addressed that Alex and McKenna will be back next year. I think they're sophomores this year. Yeah. Hannah's obviously the senior that's going away. What do you feel comfortable with in a pitching rotation? Because you've had a clear number 1 and a number 2. Mm-hmm. This year you had 2 number 2s that you kind of switched out at the end of the year. How many pitchers do you like to go into a season?
I think you have to have 4 to be comfortable. Yet where I'm the most comfortable is go out there and give me 7, whoever it is. And I've long said the most difficult decision I ever have to make is when to change pitchers. I hate that decision because you just don't know. You're gauging the unknown. I know what this kid is doing, right, wrong, or not. I don't know what this kid's going to do. He goes to that last game against Northern State in the conference tournament. McKenna had really been pitching great, and she wasn't pitching well. And then we brought Alex back, and Alex throws 3 hitless innings. Well, if I would have known that before the game, I would have started Alex, so you just never know how long to go with them, not only within game after game, but within the game itself, if a kid is struggling. So, but I think to get through a season, we always feel like we've got to have at least 4 kids, knowing that we're probably going to ride 1 or 2 of them a little bit more, but you've got to have something, in the tank in reserve.
Is there such a thing as a closer in fast pitch softball, and have you ever used one?
I haven't. That hasn't been our style. Augustana does it a lot. They didn't do it as much this year as they've done it in the past. A couple of years ago, Mankato tried it, went a lot, and they only used 2 pitchers, and they would go 5 and 2 both games, and it was the same 2 kids. And it's hard because if somebody's really going well, it's hard to pull the plug on them and just say, okay, let's let it ride here a little bit. But there could be. We've talked about it with Jordan coming in next year from lacrosse. She's thrown 4 consecutive no-hitters now at the high school level. She's just absolutely dominating hitters at that level. I think she struck out 60 some out of 70 she's faced now in the last 4 games. That if she's not quite ready for 7, can we use her for 2? And so we've talked about it, but part of that we've really just got to see it too.
Okay. Let's take a look at your roster then from this year and heading into next year. You lose 5 seniors. I think that leaves you with 14 other players, and then you have 6 that'll be coming in next year. Can you begin to kind of plan what you're going to be doing next season already at this point?
Yeah, you can plan on it from a depth standpoint. It's not like we're crafting out the batting order or anything, or who's going to start or whatever. But you at least know where your depth is, and you know where your strength is, and you know, okay, this is something we really, going forward, know that we need to get better at or work on and things like that. But we like the team coming back. We like the leadership core. We only have 1 senior next year, and Allison is going to be our only senior next year, which will be really different for us. Not only from this year where we had a lot of seniors, but just in general. 1 senior isn't very many. So, but we also have, I think, good leaders that will be in the junior class next year too. So our upperclassmen collectively will be good leaders, and Allie obviously is going to be that kid that we'll turn to for that. But collectively, our upperclassmen will be that way, and that's really how kind of how we look at it now. Because we really need to get on the field to let the position battles play out, to really figure out who's going to play, how we're going to do it, how that stuff will develop. We don't know how these freshmen will respond. On paper they look really good right now. You get excited about them, but can they do it at this level? You just never know.
You talked about Jordan Clement, one of the incoming players that you recruited for this year. Is there anybody else that you think might be able to jump into that kind of starting lineup for you this year?
Well, I hope a lot of them can. Honestly, it's something that we've been very fortunate that freshmen don't always play a lot in our program because we have juniors and seniors and sophomores that can. And I think a kid like Katie Schlegel, who was a freshman pitcher this year, has good stuff and just didn't throw much. Well, now she could make a big jump going into next year. That's usually the sophomore year is usually where kids make their biggest splash because they're motivated by not playing a lot as freshmen. They go home and work at it. They start to realize the intensity and speed of the game, and then they make a big jump as a sophomore. Well, what Katie does now determines what might happen behind her with some of these other freshmen and things like that. And you look at that, same thing at other positions. And so, but we'll have some spots open in the outfield, we'll have some spots open on the infield. So these freshmen could all make an impact if they come in here and able to do it.
All right, let's take a break here on Warriors Walkoff, and when we come back, Allison O'Haron will join us as a guest. That's right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Go beyond entertainment with HBC GigaWorld and get the broadband experience. Video chat without buffering. Stream your favorite shows and movies with TV to go. Dominate your online games and more with gigabit internet speeds. Watch over 300 video channels, including high definition, sports, HBO, Cinemax Stars Plus, Encore Showtime, and more. Call friends and family with reliable, crystal clear, unlimited local and domestic long distance phone service. Experience broadband the way it's meant to be with HBC GigaWorld. Visit hbci.com to get started today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. Time now to get the player perspective. Allison O'Haron joins us, and we'll just call you an infielder because I think you played almost all the infield positions, maybe except first base. Let's talk a little bit about this season. Is the first question I had for Coach. A week removed from the season, how do you feel the season went?
We've definitely had better seasons, but I wouldn't say it was bad by any means. I mean, we still beat a lot of good teams and did very well in some games. So what seems like a down season, it really isn't if you sit back and look at it. So it was unfortunate that we didn't make regionals, but it was still a good year to look back on.
As you look ahead to this offseason and then to next season, as Coach said, only senior, young team coming back, how do you feel about that, and what are some of the things that you work on in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be weird being the only senior and the oldest person, but I think we have a team full of people. Like Coach also said, we have a bunch of juniors who will be able to step into that leadership role, and we have some people that'll be sophomores even that'll be able to lead the freshmen, and I think we have a pretty good freshman class coming in. So even though we will be younger, I think we'll still be talented, and I don't think it'll really be a problem. I think maybe we just need to work on having better team chemistry as a whole than coming in with 6 freshmen or 8 freshmen, however many we have, because then we'll have to welcome them in right away because they're going to step in and have to play a big role, being so many of them.
Okay. What are you going to be looking for Allison for leadership next season?
Well, I think one of the big things that we talked about, one of the silver lining to getting done early was we got to sit down with everybody, collectively as a team. Normally we get back from the regional tournament and we're scattered to the wind, and so we were able to sit down, and one thing we talked about with the group was our culture and getting our culture back on track and things like that. Well, Allie being a part of it now for 4 years and being a starter, for her first 3 seasons, really understands the goods and bads of it, the ins and outs, and I think just helping to reestablish that culture, how we do things, the work we put in, the drive we need, the passion we play with, the hustle that it takes, and the mindset, to play at this level, I think is going to be a big thing for her to help kind of pull the younger kids along that way.
All right, as Coach knows, I like to try to do a little research and try to find interesting, funny stories. You probably know where I'm going to go with this, but apparently you got your teeth knocked out. It was that last year, or maybe it was even this year.
I did get my teeth knocked out. It was in October, and it was just kind of a freak accident, actually. We were doing an ab exercise in the weight room, and we were on the platform under the bar. I mean, nobody would think that a bar would just get knocked off and land on your face, but it did. Somebody ran into it, and it fell off, and it landed on my face, and it knocked my 2 front teeth in half, and then one of them split all the way up the road, so I had to get it pulled out, and then it was kind of a mess, but a complete freak accident.
I think you had some family and friends that were kind of ripping you a little bit on Twitter about that.
Oh my gosh, everyone makes fun of me for it still. Like, even yesterday, people were just like, we were playing catch with a football, and they were, I missed it and I dropped it, and they were like, oh, be careful, it might hit you in the face. And then someone else is like, oh yeah, you wouldn't want to get your teeth knocked out. I'm like, wouldn't want that to happen. That would be terrible.
All right, let's go back to high school, and kind of an interesting thing. There's a senior day that you had all your names on the wall.
Yes.
And apparently you hit a double that hit your name that was on the wall.
I did. I forgot about that. Yeah, we for all season when in high school we have balls on the outfield. They're like plastic circles or whatever that have all the seniors' names on them, and we leave them on the field all season. And on senior day, I think we were losing, and I hit a double, and I guess it knocked off it like broke my ball. It hit my own ball on the fence, which is crazy and weird, and people have been talking about it for a while now, but I still have the plastic ball in my house. It's got a split down the middle, but it's kind of funny because I did it myself.
And I think you joked to the newspaper that interviewed you at that, said you were aiming for it. Were you aiming for it?
Yeah, I was aiming for it. I told him I did it on purpose.
All right, and one of the last questions, you have a teammate, Paige Keegan, who was kind of close by in proximity in high school.
Yeah.
How much did you know her?
Yeah, I didn't know Paige that much in high school. I mean, I knew who she was. We went to school close to each other, but we actually never played against each other. I actually played against Reed Karsten in high school. Okay. And we have a picture of I'm playing shortstop and she's on second base, and it's kind of funny because we had no idea who each other were. But I always knew who Paige was. We had a lot of mutual friends, but we never played each other. But so yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
and,
you bet. Thanks.
Good luck next season, and
thank
good
you
luck
so
to you
much.
next season as well.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff. When we come back, we'll talk a little baseball. That's right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
Integrate your business communications services with HBC. You'll be connected to the area's leader in internet and data solutions with speeds up to 1 gigabit, not to mention the most customizable and reliable telephone network in the area. Your customers and guests will enjoy crystal clear video and audio throughout your business. HBC Professional Solutions customers receive consulting and IT support, conferencing solutions, fast, reliable cloud service, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to experience the HBC difference today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25. Time now to switch to baseball. Head coach Cal Polk joins us. And thank you for coming in. I know it's kind of difficult with the season now being over. Talk a little bit about the last week of the season, because I know it didn't quite end the way that you wanted it to.
No, it didn't. The interesting thing is we probably needed to win 3 of our last 10. 4 would have got us in for sure. 3 and just struggled at getting that. We got 1 win. We got 1 win at Upper Iowa. The weekend previous, we talked about last week, Mankato. We just ran into some really good arms, I thought, probably the 4 best arms that we've seen all year long. And we had some opportunities that didn't cash in. And then we came in this weekend against Concordia St. Paul, and we just, we left guys on base. And the biggest thing, we didn't pitch. We didn't pitch as well. We had pitched pretty well all year long, our guys, and we were understaffed. We had injuries and stuff, and so we were kind of outmanned at the pitching staff wise, but the guys that did pitch for us did a great job most of the year. But I think the wear and tear finally caught up to us the last weekend.
All right, well, let's kind of talk about some of the games. You talked about the Upper Iowa series, split that one. How did you feel at the end of those 2 games as you were heading into your final weekend against Concordia?
Well, we thought, hey, this is okay. Even though we lost at Mankato, we split here, so now we need to get 2 wins, 3 for sure probably against Concordia will get us in. 2 will probably seal it for us because it goes by winning percentage. And Concordia is a team that was better. They're above us in the standings, but it's a team that we've been pretty competitive with. I think last year we beat them 3 out of 4 at their place. And is that right, Nate? But it's a team that we think that we should be able to beat. And they were throwing their end of their rotation stuff too. But the first day, our starting pitchers just they didn't have anything. And then the guys we brought out of the bullpen, it was just the same thing. And we made an effort in the second game to get back in it a little bit late in the game, but it wasn't enough.
So after Saturday, when you lost the 2 games and you're heading into Sunday, what's the message to the team? What are you looking to do on that last day of the season?
Well, we still, at that point, we still had an outside chance if we won both. And so we're telling them, hey, we need to play good baseball. We need to play good, solid baseball. Execute when you get a chance, offensively, defensively, and pitching. We had Mitch Stallsberg, who had been our number 1 at the beginning of the year, had a little struggle, so we bumped him to the second day, first game pitcher. But he came out and he was sharp against Mankato. And the unfortunate thing, both games that he pitched, the last 2, he got beat 2-1 and 2-1. And the one on Sunday or Saturday against Concordia, we had a 1-0 lead going into 7th with him, and he pitched 6 innings, gave up 1 hit, struck out 9 or 10. And we turned it over to Mitch Voter, our bullpen guy, who's been lights out all year long as well, and thinking, hey, this will be it. We get the first one here. Well, he strikes out the first 2, and then there's a little iffy call, I think, by umpire. It should have been a 3rd strike. He didn't call the check swing. Guy walks. Next guy gets a bloop hit, and the next guy gets a ball hit into the gap that scores them both, and it's 2-1, and then we come back in the bottom of the 7th, and we didn't score. And that was kind of deflated us totally right there.
Let's talk about that last half inning, because as I understand, I think you had some runners on base, and you just couldn't get them across.
Yeah, we couldn't get them across. Again, I think we ended up with a guy on 3rd base, too. And all we needed was a ball into the outfield, and that would have tied the game, and then who knows what happens after that. And it just didn't happen. It's kind of been the story of the last 10 games. We had opportunities, and we'd hit a ball right at somebody, or we didn't get, or a weak ground ball or something like that, which, hey, the kids are playing hard. They're trying to do their best, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
I kind of want to get into your mindset, and then we'll talk to Nathan as well. When you lose that first game, and you kind of know that, okay, the season's probably over now, but you still have 1 more game left to play. What is it that you're looking to accomplish in that last game? I mean, obviously, you want to get the win, you want to end the season on a good note, but what else are you looking to do, maybe even trying to set things up for next year or just finish things out?
Well, we know we're going to finish things out, but we want to, hopefully, the seniors that are playing, make sure that they have a great experience in their last game, play hard, and then the underclassmen, the ones that are in the game playing here, make sure you continue to work on things that you can carry over to next year. I guys make mental notes possibly on what was working well, what didn't work well, and just finish out the season on a good note if you can, and high note. Hopefully you win it, but again, we didn't win that one either. So.
Right. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what you do from now until next season. How long do you take to kind of process what happened here before you kind of move on to next year?
Well, that's going to be all through the summer stuff we're going through. We'll look back. My assistant coaches, Patrick Riley and Matt O'Brien, who both were in here with you, we'll sit down periodically. But it's starting already. Like I said, last night there were a couple games that didn't go, but every day we're checking to see if there's games to go watch. I know a lot of people say, well, your season's done. What are you going to do now? And I say, well, it starts now because usually 4 nights a week and every weekend there's games to go watch. And it's the recruiting trail. We're out there. I'm also on the American Baseball Coach Association. I'm on the Division II All-American Committee, so I'm going to be the next 2 weeks working on helping pick the Central Region All-Region team. And then I get to go to Cary, North Carolina to pick the All-American team there and be there for the first 2 days of the College World Series for D2. So it's busy. It keeps going. We're, like we said, we'll sit and evaluate what went this year, what we thought was good, what we need to improve on, and then it's out looking for players. And we're looking at the kids that are going to be seniors this next year, the 2017 grads.
What kind of baseball do you look at? Because I know that some of your players play for amateur teams like the Chiefs, or some play in like the Northwoods League, like Nathan does. What do you look at?
We're looking at high school, and then I'm a big American Legion backer. I love American Legion baseball, so I watch a lot of that. I myself do Wisconsin because that's where I'm from, and then I'll do some of the local stuff around here. Coach Riley will do the Twin Cities in that area. He has family up there to that, and then he watches a little bit of the Iowa and Northern Illinois stuff, and there's showcase in both the states where we'll both go to. Coach O'Brien, as a grad assistant, legally can't go out and do recruiting, but he just got hired by the Madison Mallards in the Northwoods League, and he's going to be the pitching coach for them. So that'll be a great experience for him, and maybe he'll be able to bring some things back. He's going to be working with a guy that's the manager there who's a former big league player. So that'd be a great experience for him. But we're basically looking right now, finishing up the high school seasons, then to get into the playoffs in both Wisconsin and Minnesota. So we're going watching section tournaments, regional tournaments, state tournaments, and then the American Legion baseball.
I was talking with Coach Jones about this, and this will be the last question. And I asked him what he was doing in the off season as far as recruiting and things, and he said that every once in a while there'll be somebody that you're looking at, and in that game you see somebody else that you think, oh, this is great. How often does that happen to you, where you're not really looking at somebody, but you find somebody?
Yeah, that happens more than you think, and it's funny because you bring that up, because as soon as you said that, my thoughts go back to a guy named Terry Porter who played basketball in the NBA. And the stories I always told about Dick Bennett went down there to watch one of his teammates, and Dick's wife says, hey, you should look at that player because he's the one who plays like you, coach. And so that's how Terry Porter ended up at Stevens Point and then in the NBA. But it happened, same thing in baseball, because when I go there, I'm not just zeroing in, unless there's a kid I specifically said that we're recruiting, I'm going to come watch you. Most of the time I'm just going to watch everybody. And usually I'll know a few of the names of the good kids, because what we'll do is we'll start looking at all conference lists, we'll look at all region lists, and we'll get an idea of who those kids are. But it's there's always probably a third to half of our team are guys that I was there probably watching somebody else and I saw them and I liked them better, or I liked them and the other player and said, hey, we need to try to get both of you or whatever. So. All
right, very good. We're going to take a break here on Warriors Walkoff. When we come back, Nathan Krause will join us right after this. Warriors Walkoff on HBC TV 25 is brought to you by Jefferson Pub and Grill. Meet me at the levee for fabulous food and drinks at Jefferson Pub and Grill. Come check out their great nightly specials and limited time offer menu, Jefferson Pub and Grill.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25. Warriors Walkoff. Time to talk to one of the baseball players, Nate Krause, who joins us. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
I don't really want to harp on this too much, but it's obviously the end of the season, and as we said to Coach Polk, it didn't really end the way that you wanted it to. From the players' side, what was this weekend like?
It was a little rough, given the fact that we wanted to do everything we could to make it the best for the seniors that were leaving. It almost felt like we let them down a little bit because they deserved a lot more than a four-loss weekend, obviously. Mm-hmm. But given the grand scheme of things, I think the seniors played really well for their last weekend, so they themselves went out on a high note.
That last game, the last game on Sunday, is that about pride?
Yeah, more than anything. We kind of knew it was a long shot to get in the conference tournament, but just to give the seniors everything we had and to go out on top at the end of the year, that was really what it was all about.
All right. From your perspective, what does Nate bring to the team? I know that one of our former colleagues, Landon Evanson, said you saw him last year and saw him with a cannon for an arm, able to throw out runners. What are some of the strengths that Nate brings to the team?
Oh yeah, as a catcher, he's probably, I don't want to get his head too big here, but I think my two catchers I have, him and Taylor Field, are the two best defensive catchers in the league. Now, whether they get all conference mention, we'll see, because they offense, all conference usually goes offensive stats, so we'll see what happens. But defensively, as you can see, most of the year teams didn't run on us hardly at all, because they know that. Athletically, catching wise, he's got the pro specifics of what you want to do, being able to throw, catch and throw, and that type of thing. So plus his size, although the size sometimes hurts him because he gets banged up, he gets hit by more foul balls and stuff. If you're a smaller catcher, you don't get hit as much. But he brings, and he's a heady catcher. I like that my catcher's a call against. Matt O'Brien, my pitching coach, does some helping with that and stuff, but I like that better. But he knows how to handle it, and controls the running game because of his arm strength. Probably Ben Barone, who was a Division II Player of the Year for us, him and pretty similar throwing, but Nate's a lot more accurate. Ben just threw hard, and hopefully the ball ended up at second base. But he threw them, but Nate's is going to be there. He's going to shut down back picking. We pick more guys off bases than most other teams do, so that's all good. And it's a leadership thing because he's hard-nosed, and he's not afraid to let a guy know on the team if he's not holding up his end of the bargain.
I got to ask you about getting beat up behind the plate, because as Coach said, you get some injuries, you get foul balls off the hands. You saw Kurt Suzuki the other night for the Twins take a foul ball straight off the mask. When that kind of thing happens, how long does it take you to really recover from something like that?
With our off-season training and having done it all our lives, between myself and even Taylor, it usually doesn't take too long. And like he said, we're lucky that we have two probably of the best catchers in the conference. Got a little unlucky with getting stepped on this year and ended up with 7 stitches in my hand, but like KP had said, thank God for Taylor at that time too. Yeah. So usually doesn't take too long.
Okay. I like to kind of look up whatever I can about you, and I see on social media, and it's all about baseball.
Oh,
You're
boy.
serious about baseball. So I have to imagine that one of the highlights of your time here at Winona State was when you went to Houston and you got your picture taken with Jose Altuve.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest little happenings probably ever. So we're underneath the stadium by their clubhouse taking BP before the game, and a short little Hispanic man walks up, and we're like, do you work for the Houston Astros? And he's like, no, I play. And I'm like, what's your name? He goes, Jose. I'm like, wait, time out. Jose Altuve? And it was absolutely mind blown. And myself, Taylor Field, and Tyler Nearing all got pictures with him, and it was incredible because he actually ended up coming in our dugout and sitting there watching our game for a little while too. So it was unreal just to have a guy of that caliber so down to earth.
And I understand that's not your only really major league connection. You worked for the Brewers for a little while?
I worked for the Brewers Baseball Academy doing coaching around southeastern Wisconsin. So I got to meet a couple of the Brewers players through that. Jimmy Nelson, Chris Davis, a couple others, lower named guys. Not like Ryan Braun or Jonathan Lucroy or any of those guys, but it was still pretty cool. Got to go to Miller Park once a week, and it was pretty cool coaching kids at the same time too.
Yeah, not bad if you can get that. And you played for the Eau Claire Express in the past. Are you going to play for them again this summer?
This summer I'm not. I'm actually going down to Atlanta to intern for Wilson Sporting Goods.
Oh, very good.
Kind of weaseled my way into that one through a couple connections I have. I got in touch with their global marketing director, and she kind of helped set me up with that whole thing. So I'm really excited for this summer to be immersed in a company that I have lived and died by since I was little.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for coming in today, and we'll look forward to maybe talking to you next year.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walkoff. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.